Hey folks, it's Mangrel. We're going to take a quick look at the Glide kit by FPVCycle, and this is the kit that's made by Dr. KababFPV. And surprisingly, there aren't many videos out there on this frame, which I don't understand why. It's an amazing frame. So let's take a quick look and see what it's all about. Now, the way I understand it, this frame comes in 3 different versions. There's the version that comes with the gold screws. There's a version that comes with the press nuts here that are black, which is the version I've got. And then there's a third version, which KababFPV says actually has these pressed in already. So I've got, I guess, the intermediate version. Okay, so the first thing we have here are the arms, and you can see that they have this V kind of style that's supposed to help with the crash durability and making sure that the motors are protected. So nicely packaged. We've got the bottom and the top frame. We've got all of our screws nicely packaged here, and to my surprise, we also have stack screws. So we've got the longer stack screws, shorter ones, thinner ones, so whatever you want, we've got it. You've also got a nice battery strap here. We've got the bottom X brace. And then we've also got those replacement press nuts. And the one thing you'll notice, we don't have instructions. So let's get this all set up. And I want to see, can I get this put together without instructions in, let's say, 5 minutes? Yeah, I think 5 minutes. Let's see if I can get this all put together with no instructions for the first time in 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to start off by pressing in these press nuts into the frame, the bottom piece. Now, I'm not going to include this in the 5 minutes because the newer frames actually come with these already pre-pressed, and that's what Kebab told me on Instagram. So we'll go ahead and press this in. The easiest way to do this is to use our press here, and this is just a regular Arbor press, and I got this from Amazon. I'll give you a link in the video description. But the easiest way to do this now is to place a little piece of tape over here, just to protect it, also something to protect your bottom plate as well. And then what we're gonna do is just place it underneath and then take the little press nut, put that on top, and then I'm just gonna come down with the press. And it should self-align, and then we'll give it a good press. And there you go. All right, so we have our work area all set up now. I've taken my best guess at what screws I require, and that's because we have a whole bunch of different sizes and different styles of screws. So we may have to go back and forth a little bit here, but let's get going. Let's start the clock. Okay, first thing I think we want to do is put in our standoff screws, or our standoff screws? No, our stack screws. So I'm guessing this is the front and that's the back. So we're gonna use a 30 by 30. So we'll start off here. And one thing that people have commented is that the tolerances are really tight on this frame. And you can see these stack screws are not going in by themselves. I actually have to thread them in. So that's gonna really impact, I think, our target 5 minutes here. So let's get this going, first one. And the good thing with this frame, it's got so many different stack layouts. It's got 20 by 20 in the back, 20 by 20 in the front. The center has either 20 by 20 or 30 by 30. So you actually have 3 different stack locations with this frame. So the possibilities are pretty endless. You can do so many different things with this. I think our build will be more of a traditional kind of build, have everything in the center and then have our vista in the back. So I think if you have a drill, this probably will be a lot quicker. But yeah, I have to thread these in one by one. Okay. All right, so that's good. Now let's start with the arms. So I think we have to sandwich the arms. So if this is the front, that's the front, then these arms have to go like this. Okay. So I'm going to use the smaller of the screws for this one. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get things to line up here, I think. So just get started. And then I think we want the longer screw, which is this guy here, for this hole. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to tighten it down because I'm concerned that these won't fit together properly. So let's do the same thing on this side. So let's put in shorter screw here. Yeah, and all these you have to actually thread in. This one's going at an angle. You see that? That's not going straight. Let me try temporarily if I go from the top to bottom. Nope. Okay, let me try a different arm. Yeah, this one seems to fit, okay. So maybe something with that one arm. Let's try again. Yeah, we're in. So that's weird. So when I used that one arm, it was almost like the arm was too long. It wasn't fitting in properly. Okay, so let's hope that it's not an issue going forward. But let's put this one in now. I'm just lightly tightening. I'm not going too tight. All right, so that's the front arms complete. Now let's do the back ones. Okay, so the first one got it started. Let's do the next one. No, we have the same issue. Something's wrong with this one arm. This arm here, I think, is a little bit longer than it has to be, because look, there's no way this is going to fit together. Yeah, if you check out these screw holes, you see how they don't line up. It's almost like this arm was maybe a millimeter too long, half a millimeter, a little bit too long. So when they meet up here, it's not going together. Okay, so let me try sanding this arm a little bit. So I think there goes our 5-minute target. So let me go off camera. I'll sand this. I'll come back when we've been able to get put together. All right, and we're back. You can see our hands are getting pretty dirty from assembling this frame. I'd say probably dirtier than I've gotten assembling any other frame, but a little tiny bit of sanding and we've got it put together. So now let's go ahead and tighten down these screws. And I'll come back later and put Loctite on these, but for now I just want to get the frame put together. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. All right, so now let's take our standoffs, and our standoffs should just go around top of here. So 1, 2. Oh, come back here. 4. And then back here, we'll use the smallest of the screws. These screws here, again, you see we have to keep threading them in. They don't just pass through. So let's thread in 2 screws up here. Okay, and then we'll put our standoff. And then we'll put our camera mount. I'm guessing they go like this. All right, back standoffs. And it looks like we have 1 extra standoff. That's perfect. Stay. All right, let's put in our rear stack screws. And again, see, every single screw you have to thread in. Oh, my wrist. Okay, so we have this all put together. I think the last piece is just get this in. So again, I'm going to use our smaller screws for the front. So this is interesting. The back of the top deck uses countersunk screws. And I guess the idea here is you get a nice flat battery mounting surface. So no more screws going into your battery in a crash. And you can use very small and kind of thin battery pad. So let's put in our countersunk screws. Here's the frame I'll put together. It was a pretty straightforward build. It definitely took more than the 5 minutes, but that's mainly because we ran into issues around the rear arm. So these arms come together like this. And I think this arm here was a little tiny bit longer than the rest. So it was a very tight fit here, and we had to sand it a little tiny bit to make it fit here. So that took 5-10 minutes to do that. But otherwise, it's all put together. So let me grab the scale. We'll see how much it weighs. It's not complete yet, but at least give you an idea of how much it weighs. All right, so the frame by itself is 111 grams. This is interesting because I think this was advertised as a 103-gram frame. We don't have motor screws. The only thing we do have is the stack screws. Maybe that's why. Perhaps FPVCycle measured it without stack screws. If I add my battery strap as well, I'm up to 116 grams. I mean, it's still a pretty light frame. If I compare this with something like the Rotorite HD1, which is closer to 150, that's quite a big savings. Here's a frame all built up. We have our stack, we have our Vista. This frame does not come with an antenna mount, so this is something that we design ourselves. I'll link you to Thingiverse where you can get those files. We also have our GoPro mounted. We mounted it without the battery, so if you haven't seen our video up here, I'll link you to where you can see how you do that. But that looks pretty good. So we can do a quick weigh of this as well. So you're looking at 461 grams with the GoPro. Again, it's a GoPro with no battery, 461. That's pretty good. So let's take it outside for a quick flight, and then we'll see how we make out.